Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God, the most merciful, the compassionate. In the beginning of my presentation, let me promise you what Elizabeth Taylor promised with her 8 husbands, that I will not keep you long. Either you have understood everything Dr. Schrodinger has told you, and then there's no need for me to speak to you. Or you have not understood anything, and I cannot help you anymore. I am not going to look at my notes right now because after such a brilliant presentation, honestly, there's more for us to think and less for us to talk. But as I have decided that I'm not going to go back to my notes, I'm just going to expand upon what he has said. And I might throw some bombshells, so just be careful. Looking from the perspective of human history or comparative development of religiosity, and especially the 3 Semitic traditions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, I feel that all the 3 religions, they have gone through the same kind of transition or progressive development. Honestly, I see almost the same exact pattern happening within Islamic history, and I'm going to come back to it, where the politicians, they hijack the egalitarian nature of the Quran and the message of the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet Muhammad peace be upon him, and change it from Khilafah to Mulukiya. And the Muslim nation or Ummah is still suffering from that transition. I see the same thing happen in Judaism, where the egalitarian message of Ezekiel, Amos, or the later prophets was hijacked by the religious authorities of temple and also by the politicians of the Roman Empire. And I see the exact same thing happening to the social gospel of Jesus when it was moved from its original soil of Judaism, from Galilee, to what we call the Roman areas, the Hellenistic worldview, and it was totally transformed to the extent that the message was replaced by the messenger itself. So therefore, if we are at this time sharing the pains, I think we have got the same pains. Somehow God Almighty must be reflecting upon the cleverness of all of the human beings, and especially the so-called religious orthodoxy, that somehow they have got the guts and the capability of speaking in the name of God, but utmostly in the terms which he hates the most. So therefore, I think I'm going to open up my wounds instead of giving the speech today. And I have found the best foundation. I really appreciate Dr. Schrodinger, and I really feel perhaps not many of the Christian scholars, or I would say even the Muslim scholars, will understand most of what you have said, but it is important for us to share it with the world. I'm going to come back now and throw some bombs. Number one, when it comes to word Islam, Islam is something and Muslims are something else. I want you to understand, make this differentiation. So when I will use the word Islam, don't you ever think that this is the property of the Muslims, or somehow this is the proper representation of Muslims. Look at the word Islam in its proper context and the meaning. Islam is from the Arabic word salama, sin, lam, mim, It has got two meanings: submission and peace. There are two horizons, or you can say angles. When it comes to vertical meaning, God to man relationship, it is submission. And when it comes to man relationship, it means peace. So Islam has got two meanings. One is vertical, other is horizontal. When man to God comes, because God is the creator of this universe, whatever he says, whatever he commands is ought to be. His will is the normative will, because he's God. He's all wise, he's all merciful, he's all kind. So when it comes to horizontal level, it is basically getting the gas, electricity from there, and run the car. Now, remember one thing: if you put the gas and you do not get the mileage out of the car, it's wastage of the car. If you have got the beautiful car but does not have the gas, if you take it one time and get 50 miles out of it or 200 miles out of, do not fill it again, it's useless. So this is a constant relationship. Car is going to be used for the mileage, and gas is needed. You have to stop at the gas station quite often, fill it, and keep on getting the mileage out of it. So submission is that filling the tank, spiritual gas, by relating to God and getting the mileage in the society, transforming the society, the social justice. Dr. Schrödinger said it. What is the relationship between man and God? The relationship is, number one, what we call the moral will of God. What God wants us is, He wants to make sure that we follow His commandments. And what are those commandments? The 10 commandments. Do not kill, do not cheat, do not steal, do not bear false witness. That's exactly what He said to Moses. That's exactly what Judaism, in its original pristine form, that's what the prophets of Judaism kept on insisting. God would help you if you follow the commandment. He will fulfill His covenant if you fulfill your covenant. Whenever they break it, even though you are chosen, even though you are promised Holy Land, but you will not enter even if your leader is Moses himself, because you are not following the commandment. So the relationship is not Moses, is not Ezekiel, it's not individuals. The relationship between God and us is ethical. The relationship of commandment. Follow it, get it. Don't follow it, don't get it. Now, when people will follow that submission, when people will not cheat, when they will not lie, when they will not steal, they will be in peace, at peace with the neighbor, with the family. When you don't cheat, wife is not going to be yelling and screaming and checking your wallet. Same thing with the husbands. If you don't cheat, government will not come after you. If you don't lie, people will respect you. So, follow God to man relationship will improve man to man relationship. This is what Islam is. Believe me, this is what is. There's no God but one God, and Prophet Muhammad is the prophet of God. There's no God but one God, and Moses is the prophet of God. No God but one God. Jesus, Abraham, Noah are the prophets of God. This is what is the message. And I want you to go back now to history. What is the word used for peace in Judaism? When the Jewish friends nowadays, they want to greet each other, what they say? Shalom. What is the meaning of shalom? Peace. Most of the Jewish friends, they will call and say Shalom Aleichem, which means peace be unto you. In Hebrew language, because S is pronounced Sheen, so because Hebrew and Arabic have got close affinity. So in Arabic it is seen, S. So what the Hebrews call salam, shalom, we Muslims call salam. The root word is exactly the same thing, peace. So the person who is the person of peace is called in the Hebrew Bible, what is it called? Does anybody know Hebrew here? And especially Dr. Schedinger is here, I don't want to say something, but until I get the approval. Does anybody know the person of peace in the Hebrew Bible, what is that person called? If it is shalom, the person of shalom is called what? Mishlam. Mishlam. Because he's a person of shalom. 184 times the Hebrew Bible, which is the Old Testament, in its original Hebrew calls shalom. And the people of shalom are called Mishlam. This is what is Muslim in Arabic. So Muslim is not a person with the beard who comes from the Arabic or Pakistani background or who keeps on telling you you are infidels. Muslim is the person who submits to the moral will of God and who has got peace in God's name and to the neighbor. Many of you who might otherwise hate Islam and Muslims may not know that from that definition, universal definition, many of you might be Muslims without knowing. I'm talking from that perspective, the perspective of the Hebrew Bible, Shalom and Mishlam. Now, let me ask you one more thing. We have got the Gospels and we have got the epistles of Paul, other, say for example, epistles. And honestly, if out of all of that New Testament corpus, one time the question is asked directly from Jesus, "O good master, Rabbi, how can I attain salvation or enter the heaven or kingdom of heaven?" He did not sit down and deliver 3 hours about the original sin. He did not explain Trinity. He did not talk about Arianism and Nestorianism and Chalcedonian formula. And believe me, he never mentioned Nicene Creed at all. What he said, he made it very simple. Follow the commandments. And then the guy says, maybe he will say something different. Different commandments than what I've been told in the Old Testament. And what are those commandments? He says, love your God and love your neighbor. When you will submit to God, you love your God. When you love your God, you will love your neighbor. Believe me, I don't see any other message in the original mission of Jesus except submission and love. And actually, I want to let my Muslim brothers and sisters know a little bit more that actually in the New Testament, I see a little higher level of Islam than many of us follow in our own tradition. Because, especially the Gospel of Matthew, it makes, many of the Gospels, but especially the Gospel of Matthew makes it clear that in the law you read it, don't kill. In the law you read it, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, but I tell you. So what happens? According to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is going to the higher level of Islam, submission, you name it, whatever you want to call it. That not only you just follow the basic commandments, don't kill, don't cheat, but go extra length. If somebody hits you, slaps you, turn the other cheek. Go the extra mile. So take it from level of just submission and peace, but take it to the love level that you don't hate the person even if somebody does wrong to you. That's what Matthew makes it clear. You have been told in the law, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, what does he say? I tell you love your neighbor and love your enemy too, and pray for them. So when Jesus comes, or according to the Gospel of Matthew, it's going to the higher level of peace, which is love. So honestly, I don't see theology there. I see a lot of love and a lot of work to do. But unfortunately, and that's what I'm going to talk about, that's what happened in Judaism, that's what happened in Christianity, and that's what has happened in Islam. So when I'm talking about Christianity right now, don't take me wrong that I'm just criticizing Christianity. Give me the opportunity, I'll come back and explain to you exactly what happened in Islam too. Here is Jesus. He comes out, and as you have mentioned in your own book, that before his birth, so much persecution has taken place in Galilee. Those areas where the Romans have come, taken people into slavery, crushed everybody, suppressed everybody. Now what happens? Jesus comes out. He is a born Jew who reads Torah, who either speaks Hebrew as the religious language, and his original language is Aramaic. And honestly, Aramaic has got close affinity with Hebrew. And Arabic, the only difference is Aramaic and Arabic. Just development upon it. Southern accent, you can call it. Okay, so what happens? Jesus could have not spoken Latin, huh? He could have not talked about Trinity and all of this terminology. His language is Hebrew, the religious, or the Aramaic. So what happens when he comes to and I'm just going to throw some ideas. When he comes to see his disciples, what he says, peace be unto you. This is the English translation of what you and me say, shalom and salam. What is his greeting? And the cry on the cross. If you go, in the whole Gospels, there is few words which are used in the original Aramaic. And one of them is Eloi, Elohi, or Eli, Eli, lema shabachthani. Now what is the word El? In Hebrew language, El means God. Israel. And actually El, in Hebrew or anywhere, if you say my God, it's Eli. In Arabic language, the word is Ilah. El, Israel, Israfil, Jibrail, those names. And in Arabic language, when we Muslims say La ilah, there's no God. So the word El is Ilah. So when Jesus is saying Eli, Eli, it is in Arabic Ilahi, Ilahi, Sheikh Ilahi. Oh my God, lima shabaktani, limaza sabaktani, lima sabaktani, why have you forsaken me? So one sentence of Aramaic is in the Gospel, and it's exactly the same thing in Arabic language. So the name of God is the same. The pattern of saying greetings is the same. The person who is peacemaker is Mishlam, and here Muslim. The name of peace or the message Shalom and Salam, I do not know why people come and say Muslims are from Mars and Christians are from Venus. I don't think Jesus was born somewhere in London or Washington. And I don't think Moses has ever known Sam Harris. And I don't want to talk about any of the other evangelical guys. Jesus was born in Galilee, the other side of the Red Sea. Moses is buried somewhere in the hills over there on Sinai. Prophet Muhammad is born on the other side of the Red Sea. If they wake up together, they will recognize each other, but they will never know any of the Kennedys. They will not be able to recognize them. Honestly, if Jesus wakes up today and goes to any of the Muslim mosques, anywhere in the Middle East, outside, he may be able to recognize some of the things he has done. Honestly, send him on a Sunday with all of these musical things and all of these changes, developments, he will be asking some questions. What type of music is this one? Because it's done in his name. To cut the long story short, that it is politics. It's very unfortunate. It's not theological. It's something wrong in the name of God, which has made the cousins, the one family members, into the enemies. And the people who believe in the same worldview, aspire the same goals of egalitarian goals, principles, are discussing whether should we get together on that issue or not. So the issue is that I think we need to bring some depth into what we are talking about. And the work of Dr. Schedinger and the rest of that are foundational in this aspect. So now I want to talk about the transition, and then I'll come to the conclusion. Look at the original message of Jesus, especially the Gospel of. I will talk the synoptics first, and then I'll come to the epistles. Whether you go to Matthew, how many of you have read the Beatitudes, or whatever way you want to pronounce it? And I'll just go at least to some of them. I'll read it to you, just to remind you that this is what is the Jesus of Gospel. When he starts pronouncing, what does he say? Blessed are those who believe in the three persons and take me as the second person of the Trinity and believe that I died for your sin. What does he say? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Now, believe me, when I read these English translations, I reflect upon the verses of the Quran and the saying of the Prophet, and because I believe that the source of revelation to Moses, to Jesus, to Muhammad is the same God, I find the same exact words. Now, when Jesus is reported here, blessed are those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy, and then basically in some of the other, that then your Father in the heaven will show mercy to you. That's exactly what Prophet Muhammad said, Irhamu man fil ard, yarhamukum man fis sama. Be merciful to the people upon the earth, and the one in the heaven will be merciful upon you. Exact same words. At the same time, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers. Now, what is the word? As I said, peace, shalom. Who are the peacemakers? You can translate it the way you want to. If Jesus is speaking Hebrew as a religious language, or using the Aramaic words, so you can say shalom to shalem, shalom, whatever you want to say it, but you cannot take it out of. So who are the peacemakers? It has to be somewhere from mishlom, whatever you call it. Okay. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Now, ask any of the theologians, son of God. The title son of God is used as the second person of Trinity. The Son of God and Son of Man is the source of the Chalcedonian formula. He's full God, complete God, and he is what? Complete man. But here, sons of God, you can use it metaphorical, whatever way, but the peacemakers will be called the sons of. This is what Jesus is saying. At the same time, look at love your enemy. I just mentioned love your enemy. Most of you have read, the law says such and such, but I say to you. Now, what happens? I want you to go back to One more, I'm just drawing the parallels. Matthew 25, where Jesus will become king. He will come on the clouds and he will judge the people as king. He's going to be separating the sheep from the goat. Some of them on the right side, the righteous, and some of them on the left side. What is he going to do? Say to the righteous. That's what he says. Then he will say to those on his left, on the left one, are the people who are condemned to hellfire. Actually, what he says, first he will say to the righteous people, come and look what has been prepared for you in the kingdom of heaven, because I came to you thirsty and you fetched me. I came to you hungry and you fed me. I was captive and you visited me. I was sick and you did such and such. And the people are going to be astonished. Lord, how we never saw you sick, we never saw you thirsty, we never saw you hungry. When did we feed you? When did we? He said, when you did the least of to my brothers, you did it to me. Here is what he's going to be saying to the people who are condemned to the hellfire. Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you? He will reply, I tell you the truth. Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Do you see any of the dogmas over here? Isn't the message clear that the hellfire is for those who did not take care of the hungry and the thirsty and those who were in need? None of the dogmas over there. But go any of the Sunday morning, go to any of the discussions, as he just mentioned, the bishop's statement, that even nowadays when we do something for the sake of God, we want to incorporate gospel into it. And what is the meaning of gospel? Make them believe in such and such dogma. But I don't see Jesus doing it over there at all. And let me tell you, it's exactly the same thing which Prophet Muhammad said. And I'm going to quote the word. In the name of God, the Prophet said on the day of judgment, God would say to the people, Abdi, istata'amtuka walam tut'imni. O my servant, I begged you for food. I asked you for food and you did not give me. And the person would say, Kayfa ut'imaku wa anta rabbul alamin? How could I have fed you while you are the Lord of the universe? And God would say, Ama alimta anna abdi fulan istat'amak? Don't you know that such and such of my servant asked you for food, walam tut'imhu, and you did not give him the food? Law at'amtahu lawajadta dhalika indi. If you would have given him the food today, you would have found that food with me. I was thirsty, you did not fetch me. And the person will say, how could I feed you or fetch you while you are the Lord of the universe? I was sick, you did not come to visit me. Kayfa a'uduka wa anta rabbul alamin? How could I come and visit you? And you are the Lord of the universe. And God would say, Ama alimta anna abdi fulan marid? Don't you know such and such of my servant got sick and you did not visit him or her? If you would have visited him or her, you would have found me there. Absolute parallels, because the message is the same. I'm just going to go, so the point is clear, that the message of Judaism, Christianity, and we'll come back to Islam later on, was meant towards what? Man-to-man peace. How you do it? You follow the commandment of God. Don't cheat, don't tell anybody, take care of each other. Love your God, you will love your neighbor. Now what happens is that this was an egalitarian message. Jesus stood up. That was one of the accusations of the Pharisees, that this guy lets the sinners in and eats with them. When they are ready to stone somebody, he stands up, he says, only those people who have never committed adultery, let them do it. And everybody runs away. He has become a trouble. He goes to the temple and he says, you have made this house of peace and prayer into the den of robbers. He goes. He was not that peaceful, guys. He was not that pessimistic as we have been just making him out of nothing. He goes, he turned the tables on the money changers. He goes, go buy the gun and buy the sword. I've not come here to bring the peace to you. The reason is, Jesus cannot tolerate injustice. He cannot tolerate inequality. He cannot see people compromising the moral principles in the name of religion. He does not see the importance of the building in the shape of temple and religious hierarchy when people are taken into slavery, when people's rights are being usurped, and that religious hierarchy is not doing anything. That's where he's fighting with the temple people. And that's the reason the temple people are encouraging the Romans, get rid of this guy. He is a civil trouble. That's where they went to the Pontius Pilate or the Roman, get rid of him. Jesus dies for the principles. Jesus dies for the poor. Jesus dies for what? We made him into dying for our sins. What happens? Now, when Christianity comes from that original soils, then it goes to Hellenistic terminology. Then we just, as Dr. Schedinger has just explained, because it was not good for the Roman politicians, they wanted to limit religiosity or the message of Jesus between God and man. They did not want it to be extended from God to man and man to man. They wanted to control the man-to-man area. Who will make the laws? Who will pass the resolutions? There were, believe me, you think that it's only the Democrats and the GOP only in the states right now? No, it has been always there. We will pass the resolutions. We will tell the people how much you can give me, how much you can give to God. But Jesus wanted God to tell us how much you can give. So that was the reason. So what they did, they successfully limited the Jesus event in the light of Easter experience, resurrection, and limited only to God to man relationship. Your personal religion. Do whatever you want to go worship God. This is where the secularization of religion took place. The separation of the mundane and the sacred took place. State and church were separated. Now what happens? Because human beings are religious by nature. They are looking for eternity. They want salvation. They see their friends dying every day. They know this life is not eternal. They are looking for eternal solutions. And now it was what? Focus was changed from the message of Jesus to the person of Jesus. Yes, he is God. He is not God. One nature, two nature, divine nature, monophysite, diphysite, all of these. And unfortunately, and I'm not putting down in any way or form, most of the councils, theological councils, they were either chaired by the emperors or decided by the emperors. Council of Nicaea in 325 or whatever. When it's called by Emperor Constantine. The bishops are paid to come there. Out of 1,500 or 1,800 bishops, only 318 show up. And then who is making the decision, the emperor who has not been even baptized as a Christian yet. Now, St. Athanasius wins, Nicene Creed is there, Arian is condemned. Now, the king dies, his son comes, everything becomes Arian. And other king comes. So my question is, it's clear cut that politicians are somehow mishandling spirituality or religion. And you know, when the politicians want to even put the money or show off or even come to a program, you know why? Because they are looking for votes. They are not looking for spirituality. So you can imagine, I mean, at that time, politicians were not that spiritual either. So this is what has happened. So to cut the long story short, this separation of the church and the state took place because of what? Politics versus spirituality. So they were successful in limiting the message of Jesus or the message of Moses to man to God relationship, and they control the man to man relationship. Now let's come back to Islam. The picture is not as beautiful as sometimes the outsiders feel. There is the Meccan elite, the capitalist. These are the politicians who are controlling the routes, caravans. Prophet Muhammad lives 40 years there, sees the problems of slavery, oppression. Revelation comes, goes back to the people, tells them what you are doing is wrong. These people do not belong to you as slaves, they belong to God. He has created them equal. There should not be any discrimination based upon color, creed, or ethnicity. You are not born superior as Arabs. Treat them equal. They turned against him. وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا كَذَلِكَ يَفْعَلُونَ. We have seen our forefathers doing the same thing. You want to change our lifestyle? He says the way you are treating them, wages, is wrong. Your economic system is oppressive. Your political, your social system, your family system is oppressive. He changes systems. Political, he becomes trouble. They want to kill him. He runs for his life 300 miles in Medina. And Dr. Schrödinger has put it beautifully. He finds over there the opportunity to establish an Islamic state. Now, he's no more threat to them, but they come all the way 300 miles to kill him in the battle of Badr, Uhud, Khandaq. They wouldn't, because the reason is they feel that he's a threat to their system. If Prophet Muhammad wanted to focus upon Salah, which is 5 times daily prayer, and gives charity and perform Hajj, believe me, nobody would have hated him. Because they used to perform pilgrimage by themselves. They used to give charity by themselves. The problem was not devotional, spiritual, ritualistic performance. The problem was social justice, equality, the issues of discrimination. But he succeeded. He succeeded because he changed the system, the patterns. Now, at the conquest of Mecca, they cannot withstand him anymore, so they co-opted religion. They were called Tulaqa. They were called those people whom Prophet freed their necks. Now, Prophet Muhammad, when he died, he did not have palaces. He actually owes something even to a Jew when he died because he has to pay back. And at the same time, he said the same thing, that this is justice. This is what the Quran says. But the Quran says, the message of the Prophet was clear, that we have sent the prophets, we have sent the books only for the sake of establishment of justice. Quran makes it clear, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillah walau ala anfusikum. And I'm reading the text itself so that you know that it's not me. Quran says, O the believer, stand up for justice, for fair dealing, even if you have to stand up against your own interest, your own agenda, even if you have to stand up against your own father, mother, rich person or a poor person. Justice and stands for justice should take precedence over every interest, because justice is God and God is justice. And God deserves more than the rich person, the politician, the priest, or the fear, anything. You should be afraid of answering back to him. Sometimes people, they are unable to do justice because they love people. This is my father, this is my friend. If I say anything wrong to him or her, I will lose him. So God says, no, your love for somebody should not take you away from justice. And the other times people hate other people, that's where they don't want to say the truth. The Quran says, وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَآنُ قَوْمٍ عَلَىٰ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا. The hatred of a group or a people or a person should not take you away from justice. اِعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Do justice, because this is piety. Now remember one thing, whether personal interests, your likes or dislikes, justice is above it, God is above it, do it for God. This is what is the essence of Islam. And believe me, when Jesus says, love your neighbor, I see a parallel in Jewish Rabbi Hillel. When somebody asked him, and he's standing on the one leg as the report says it, what is Torah? Teach me Torah. He says, Torah is what you hate for yourself, what you do not want to be done to you, don't do it to the others. He says, this is what Torah is, rest of that is the commentary. What is Torah, which is Judaism? What is Jesus, love your neighbor? And what is the message of Prophet Muhammad? And I'll quote exact word, La yu'minu ahadukum. He said, I swear to God, nobody will have complete faith among you hatta yuhibba li akhi ma yuhibbu li nafsi, until he or she loves for his or her brother what he loves for himself or herself. This is what Islam is. You have seen Christianity, you have seen Islam, you have seen Judaism, two sides of the same coin. Over there, the rabbi says, don't do unto others what you do not want to be done to you. Prophet Muhammad says, do to others what you love to be done to yourself. Two sides of the same coin. Do you think that now Jews and Christians and Muslims can sit down and say, we are brothers and friends? My God, if the Christians are invited or the Jews are invited to come to the Islamic Center, the first thing they think is maybe they've got arsenal over there. They may have got bombs over there. They will blow us up. I mean, we had the open house after 9/11. I mean, that's something different. But last year, open house, and one of the person, he comes in, and he is so scared. He's so scared. So scared that he's just looking around. And I suddenly came out of my office. I was rushing to go to the bathroom. He looked at me and he got scared and started running back. And I thought he's ahead of his time, so I rushed. I said, hello, hello. And I'm saying hello, and he's rushing, running out. Finally, I got to him. I said, outside. Now he says, because when he went outside the building, he really felt, at least now he cannot kill me. I said, sir, are you looking for something? Because I was rushing out to the bathroom. He says, okay, when is the open house starting? When is the... And I said, you can come anytime. There's coffee inside. He said, no, I'll come only when the other people are there. I said, I can offer you some donuts. You can sit in my office. By the time other people come, he says, where is your office? He said, in that corner. I can't understand why he's so scared. Anyhow, what happens, I went to him, I hugged him, and basically, he started feeling a little bit comfortable that this guy does not have, because when I tried to hug him, he just tapped me. We brought him in, I used the bathroom, went and offered him coffee, tea, started talking to him. After 15 minutes, he picks up the phone, he calls, you can leave, I'm fine. he has given his phone number to another friend who is standing outside, thinking that if anything, and I'm talking about last year, it's not 9/11. The poor guy was so scared, he was told by whosoever he's around that these people are violent, the only thing they are, and he was so much against it, and I will show you his letters, that he always felt that his Muslim neighbors are there to kill him, and whenever they will get the opportunity, it's only a matter of time. But now he is the best friend. The issue is, do you think that if Jesus, Moses, or Muhammad will stand up today, believe me, they will love each other to the extent because they were doing the same thing they wanted. But honestly, this is what happens. So I'm just telling you the transition because I don't want you to feel that I criticize the Christian development and I did not do to Muslims or Islam. The egalitarian message of the Prophet Muhammad, the elite or the capitalist or the politicians could not control it, they co-opted it. 50 years did not pass, even 30 years did not pass, that the same people who said Prophet Muhammad is more important to their life and Quran is more important to their life, justice is more important, they brutally massacred his own family. Did not leave anyone, a single young man from that family, for the sake of power. And changed it from Khilafah, which is based upon mutual shura, appointed the son, and from that time on, the Islamic religion has never been put back on track. Now, wherever you go, you ask, why the Muslim world has got the royal families, all of them? Why there is what kingship? Why there are democracies in the West? Because from that time on, it has been very difficult, because if it can happen at the time of disciples of the Prophet, it's okay nowadays. But there's one difference between Christian development and the Muslim development. That the people who gave their lives, the people, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Hussein bin Ali, you name it, they gave their lives. And they kept on reminding that Islam is not what the others are telling. So they forced the politicians to co-opt Islam and Islamic religion also. So what happens is that, yes, in the Islamic religion, the demarcation line between secular and religious or profane and sacred has not been as wide as in other religions, but it has taken place. What is happening in the Islamic world right now? You want to be religious? Focus upon your prayers. Go to perform pilgrimage. But the issues of social justice are not on the agenda. So yes, in Christianity it has taken the theological turn. In Islam it has taken the kind of devotional turn. When you want to become, ask any Muslim nowadays, what is Islam? Islam is 5 pillars. What are those? As if you put the pillars and you have got the whole building. When it's snowing and you put the pillars, and can you live inside? Even if there's one hole, you can't sleep the whole night. So we Muslims, we put the pillars, never think of the roof, never think of the wall, never think of the furniture, and we think Islamic building is complete. So, to cut the long story short, what I am going to say is, after sharing this pain, that this is human nature. Human beings want to be God by himself. He or she does not want to live according to the 10 Commandments, because believe me, this whole issue of I am correct, my beliefs are correct, it's easy, it's egoistic, I am right. But being compassionate takes a lot of effort, it's tiring. We want to earn the salvation, we want to have the paradise, but without doing much. We want to have paradise here, and we want to have paradise there. So some of us have killed God to get to the paradise, and some of us are killing each other to get to the paradise. So the issue is, we have to stop killing God, stop killing each other, and show compassion and love, and then this world will become paradise, and the next one will become paradise. And that's where I'm going to conclude with what James said. James 2 makes it so clear. And this is exactly what is the Islamic message. In the Epistle of James, it makes it clear that those people who feel that they can attain salvation through faith are absolutely, absolutely misled. Faith without action is useless. And action without faith is useless. Remember the similitude or the example which I gave you. A car without gas is useless, and gas without car is useless. Even if you combine both of them and you do not use them for the purpose, you do not get the mileage out of it, both of them are useless. So what is Islam? Islam is submission to the moral will of God, peace to your society, your individuals. This is what is the message of Judaism. This is what is the message of Christianity. Love your God, love your neighbor. Our responsibility is to transform the society, to undo the injustice, to work for the social justice, equality, fairness. Even if we have to sacrifice our own desires and agendas, we have to do it for the sake of bigger humanity. If 1.8 billion Christians, if 1.5 billion Muslims, if 20 million Jews, if, say for example, the whole world rests aside, if all of us, Christians, Jews and Muslims, come back to our original message, you can see this world would look very different. But be careful. Never invite politicians to your conferences. You will not get it.